Welcome to Education Talks. I'm David Burke. Kazuna Soeldner is the founder of KazuConnect. In this episode, Kazuna shares her discovery of the love of databases and the difference good data management can make inside a school. Since her first steps into education as a trailing spouse in international schools, she started her own company specialising in supporting database management. A great example of the difference that individuals in education can make when discovering their passion and specialising in areas of need. Well, Kazuna, welcome to Education Talks. It's great to have you here. Where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from Geneva, Switzerland. It's spring outside today. It's sunny, and I think the winter's slowly ending here.
Beautiful part of the world. I think I've only maybe been at the train station there. I don't think I actually got the chance to go out and explore there. But
you need to see the mountains.
Yeah, looking forward to that one day. So welcome to the program. I wanted you to just start off by giving viewers and listeners a bit of a run through of your career and how you came about working in education.
Okay. Well, first of all, being married to a teacher is probably a big reason, but also, that meant that I was always surrounded by teachers talking passionately about education over dinner or over a drink. So then, it was easy for me to really go into the path of education. So I started my education career as a classroom volunteer in Zurich, and that was nice as well. I mean, I love kids, but it wasn't really. I wasn't really looking for anything else. But eventually, I got pulled into IT, and the school needed somebody to export and export data onto Excel and clean up. So I didn't know what it was back then, what I was getting involved in. And they were just changing the database. So I only, identified this recently, like, oh, that's what I did. I know exactly. So that was a very late realization. Anyway, so then when I was working with the data project for this school, this guy was working with, was moving to another school nearby. And then he wanted to take me there as well because he liked how I worked. And so he got me a job in the school he was moving to as a database manager. And I got that job. And then that was not knowing what it was. I loved, managing the data and database. Strange thing to say, but I loved it. And so in that school, I did about 4 or 5 years as a database administrator. And then after that, I needed something different, and my husband needed something different. So we moved to Singapore. And we moved, and I didn't have a job because I was just following his career. But then I always, wherever I moved, I moved to Singapore, Austria, and China. Wherever I followed my husband, I always found a job in schools as well. So I tried admissions as well as teaching assistant. And along the way, I got really interested in teaching. So I did my PGC as well, and I actually taught a class. So I really tried everything because working in schools really suited me, and I liked it. But my passion always at heart was managing data and working with colleagues in that field.
Wow! And your current role, can you tell us about that and how did that come about?
Yeah, so my current role is the director of my company. I started my company last year in May as an independent consultant. So, more specifically, my idea for this company is really still new, but I want to work with schools to help them with data and data management needs. And currently I work closely with Veracross as well as an implementation manager. So I work with schools that Veracross assigned to me. So they're all over the place, like Middle East, Asia, in Europe as well. So that's been the focus of my first year of the company. Yeah.
And for the benefit of those who are not familiar with Veracross, can you just perhaps tell us what that platform is?
Veracross is a school management information system. So it covers, different modules, like really many modules, like academics, admissions to event management. It's just in one place, including the billing. It's a vast system to manage student and school needs.
Yeah, so it's like a core system for schools, and data is so
Yeah.
vital, sort of like a source of truth. Can you tell us a bit about the importance of data? You're working in schools where you're helping schools with their database management, and also particularly schools with Veracross. Where can it go wrong? Where do schools go wrong with the use of data?
Oh gosh, I think in general, as much as I have experience in schools, I feel like there's not enough. Well, it's not clear vision or the workflow that the school's sticking to when it comes to data. And also, when the data is collected, it doesn't go anywhere. It stops wherever they collected the data on. Like there are so many software that's available for teachers to collect data these days. And, they tend to choose the most intuitive and the easiest tool. So they do that. They go ahead and collect data, but that doesn't go anywhere after that. So that doesn't get into the database or, somewhere official for everyone to access to the data. And that I see is very frustrating because the data is scattered everywhere and nobody's going to do anything about it.
Yeah, it's sort of like these separate silos, isn't it? All these separate pieces of information, all this data,
Oh, yeah.
which
Yeah.
is sometimes not working together as perhaps it should. And that's common in most schools, and it's just the natural way of, turnover of staff, and different platforms come and go. But I wonder, can you also share with us, like, where are examples where things have, or how do schools get it right? Perhaps let's just start. How do schools get it right?
I think the key is communication. Like initially when they start the data collecting process, they talk a lot. And then after that, the conversation seems to be not continuing because that's finished. We collected data. And data management is not just putting data into the database. It's really talking to each other and understanding what we're going to do by using a database, how we're going to, treat the data and piece of information. So I found communication really, really important, between different departments to talk about what they want to do, how they want to do things around data.
So, Kazuna, I noticed on your website that you're a Veracross certified implementation expert. Now, how much is involved in that, and perhaps what have you gained from that certification?
Well, I gained a lot of knowledge really about how the system works. Veracross laid out 6-7 different live sessions for the certification, so they go into details about this part works. Like reporting. You have to do this. You have to show this to schools with the experience from the trainer as well. So they went into really details about how the systems work. And having that knowledge really helps me to work with schools because each school has different needs, different sets of needs. And, I'm consistent with knowing how the database works. But then I can translate what school needs, so the school language, into sort of technical language that fits into Veracross. So this certification really enabled me to do both, sort of not learning the language, but I know the system, so I can now talk to the school and what they need, and that need can be a bit gray as well, but I can sort of translate that back into system so they can utilize the system at its best.
Is there a project though that you're particularly satisfied with that you've worked on?
Well, in the first career back in Zurich area, well, I managed the SIS for the first time for that school. And one of the big things was to roll out the report card for all divisions from elementary, middle, and high school. And the middle and high went quite smoothly because it was just the MYP and DP. So that went smoothly. But my focus was really on the elementary PYP report card, where the rubrics are really detailed. And that's when I worked closely with the administration of the elementary section. And I mean, they were very, very happy that we could go as detailed as they wanted. And the end result was, of course, really good. They were happy. I was happy. But I really enjoyed in between, getting from zero to the end, to the goal of just communicating and, succeeding each step. Like, oh, yeah, it works this way. Oh, it does work. Like that part was really satisfactory to me, like really good success.
Well, Kazuna, I've got to ask now, why are you passionate about databases? Where has this passion come from?
Well, ever since I started managing databases, it made sense to me. And also the boss I had back then was very passionate about data. And I didn't have any idea about data. So she sort of, ingrained that to me, how valuable the data is and what data tells you to do next, to decide what to do next. But, database is just, managing database is fun because it's, keeping things consistent is sort of suits me as well. But also, managing database isn't really just looking at the screen, but it involves working with others as well. And, I've worked with colleagues who come to me for help and because things are not working, or they're just not very comfortable to touch the database. So that's why I feel I can help you with that. You don't have to worry about it. You can just do this, do that. I show steps and people are happy because they know what to do at the end of it. And that's why I feel really passionate about, because I can help people. I can remove fear from people of, against database that they have.
In your experience, what are some of the wider considerations for schools when implementing a new school information system from a data and perhaps efficiency point of view?
I think when you change the school database, that's when, first of all, you have to choose a system that makes most of people's lives easier. But also that's when the school should be looking at reviewing the current process as well, process in practice, because, a lot of databases can help simplify the workflow that schools has. And this is really an opportunity when the schools are wanting to implement a new system to just really look at the process from the candidate becoming a student. So from the admissions process to where when the students are spending time at the school to when they're transitioning to another school or graduating school. So as a whole process, they need to really look at what they do currently and, change of workflow due to the change of database. I think that's okay as well, because, I get into a lot of conversations when I'm implementing Veracross that they talk about current practices. And then I tell them, oh, this system can do this, this, this. And they're like, oh, so currently we do this, but we don't have to do this anymore. So we remove this and we do this instead. It simplifies and makes things easier. So they need to really go for the system that's capable of doing that for you.
Yeah, and that's where involving a lot of people, or the right people, in the decision-making process is really important to identify those areas that a system can make a big difference. So who should choose systems in schools? Who should it be?
I would include teachers and admin staff, whoever uses the database every day. Teachers need to get involved in the choosing or decision making of the database because they're the busiest and they don't have time, so they have to have a system that's easy to use and intuitive to them. I hear a lot of intuitive in education, when it comes to database. Oh, it's not intuitive. So, teachers care about that. So we have to have a system that's easy, intuitive, and not complicated. And for admin staff, because they have different need and they use the data to communicate with parents and teachers. So again, that has to be something simple, easy, intuitive for them as well.
Absolutely. So it's really a case of the three stakeholders being, obviously the teachers, as you say, and the school administrators, and balanced with, of course, the IT staff, who are people who are going to be managing the system, but making sure that all those stakeholders have, I guess, the ability to identify the needs and to be able to demonstrate how a system would help them be able to work well. And then, of course, there's no such thing as the perfect system, and there's no such thing as a system that does everything. But getting most of it right can certainly make a huge difference to the efficiency and the operations of a school.
Yes. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you as well, like, if people wanting to get in touch with you, in fact, who should get in touch with you, and how can they go about doing it?
I've been working on creating my website, so that's where people can contact me. And I also have LinkedIn as well, and you can contact, but I think the website is the best place now. So I aim to help schools with really data needs, but it's really, if you don't have a workflow of how to manage data, or you simply don't have time to look at what to do with the data you have, although you have everything. So yeah, I can list a few things, but it's all listed on my website as well for things that's commonly an issue in schools. So yeah, if you need how to manage data or what to do with data, that's when I can jump in and help or give advice, really. I can't do magic, so I have to learn about the school and what's possible, what's not possible. I need to find out all of that. But yeah, data and database.
Yeah, so schools who are going to take advantage of the sort of services that you're offering, those sort of schools which I've certainly heard about, the schools that go through difficulties around, and it's through nobody's fault other than just the the duplication of systems, and sometimes just changing priorities, but also the frustrations around, how many kids are at our school right now. That's a sort of definitive, as you say, source of truth that, relies on having data consistent and reliable, that source of truth where you can go to and go, that's how many students we've got at our school. This is how many students are coming in. This is how many students went out. That's really important to the operation, particularly of any international schools.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So people
and
who
it
are
is possible, yeah.
Absolutely. So people who are interested in that can reach out to you on your website. What is the address for those who are listening on the podcast?
It's simply just KazuConnect.com. So KazuConnect in one word, .com.
Brilliant. And there it is on the screen as well. So Kazuna, it's been brilliant to catch up and have a little bit of a chat about, and perhaps emphasize the importance of getting data in order. And hopefully you might find that there are some people in schools listening who might just have a little look at your website and reach out. But thanks for chatting on Education Talks.
Thank you for having me, David.
Education Talks is an EdEvents production for the EdEvents community. You can keep up to date with the development of the community by registering on the website at ed.events.